Hi, Robin from Koltronics here. Today I thought I'd give you a few tips on where to place your Wi-Fi router to optimize the signal and improve your speed and quality of service. So there are three elements that one needs to take into consideration. One is what barriers are in the way. Second one is the environment in terms of interference that might affect the signal. And the third one is how far away is the router from where you're working or the devices you want to operate on Wi-Fi. So what I'll do is I'll start off with the obstructions. So positioning your Wi-Fi, taking into consideration obstructions. So we've got two different commonly used Wi-Fi routers here, one with the antennas externally and one with internal antenna. Make sure that the Wi-Fi is on its stand and make sure that the antennas are vertical. If they're lying flat, you have a very different radiation pattern and it will affect your signal. So make sure your antennas are vertical, and the height of the router where you place it is important in terms of where are you working, what devices are you working. If you're sitting with a laptop, for instance, your laptop antenna sits somewhere in your laptop, you want it in line with or horizontally in line with your router. If you're walking around with a cell phone, you want it there. So anywhere on a counter or a tabletop is a good place. On the floor, on the other hand, is not a good place because the radiation pattern is there. My equipment is all above it. There will be some radiation going up, but majority is on a horizontal plane. So on the floor is no good. Under the cupboard is no good. On the wall by the skirting is no good because your radiation pattern is much lower than it needs to be. Another obstruction that you need to deal with is the wall. If you're mounting, if you've got your unit positioned against the wall, that wall becomes a barrier and also a reflector. So for instance, in a living room, if it's against the wall by the TV, that's great. You've got all the space here that will radiate to pick up to your devices. But anything behind the wall, for instance, if you have a bedroom or a study or something like that, as you go further away, as the signal has got to go through different walls, the signal will decrease. So think about where you're going to be working in terms of what is in between you and the router. Another thing that really stops the signal is any metal content. So if it's stuck in a corner behind a fridge, that fridge basically blocks the signal from going past there, and it's got to bounce all the way around the kitchen before it gets to you. A microwave, same thing. Any metal box. Also consider that in concrete they put steel rods, so there's steel in there. So it's not only the thickness of the wall, but the steel rods in there that are going to slow the signal down, as well as the thickness of the wall. If you've got in the old houses, they really built thick walls, some even out of stone that have iron content in them. They will definitely block your signal. If you're trying to get signal upstairs, if you're in a double story, that slab is full of steel and concrete, it's going to block the signal. So think about where you want to work, where you're going to put your router. If I could put the router in the middle of the room, that would be ideal, but it doesn't make a great ornament sitting on my table, and also the cables have got to go somewhere. So in most cases, it is going to be against the wall somewhere. So think about that. Bring it away from the wall at least, if possible, and keep it at countertop height would be ideal. Also, you guys who love fish tanks. It's full of water, it absorbs radiation. Don't put it near a fish tank. Put it out away so you can actually see it. There we go, that's talking about obstructions. All right, let's talk about distance. So the further you get from your Wi-Fi router, the weaker the signal will get. And on most of the modern Wi-Fi routers, you have two signals. You have the 2.4 gigahertz and the 5 gigahertz signal. The 2.4 is your slower speed. Your 5 gigahertz is your faster speed. Your 5 gigahertz drops down much quicker than your 2.4 gigahertz when you move away from it. So right around the router you might get 5G and you've got great speed, and you go down the passage to the end of the passage and then it will drop down to 2.4 because you're a bit further away. These are things to consider. Where are you going to do your most work? Where you need high speed, you need to be close to your router. If you're in a big house, you will need to look at getting access points put in so you can distribute the Wi-Fi close to the areas where you're working and not just rely on a single Wi-Fi hotspot from your router. So that's really simple with Wi-Fi. The further you get away, the lower the signal will get and the poorer your quality will become. All right, let's talk about interference. You get interference from a number of things. You can get interference from any devices that are working on the same frequency or covering that spectrum of frequency of your router. So your router will operate on 2.4 gigs and 5 gigs. So what are those things? So another router, for instance. Some people, they put extenders and they have more than one router next to another router, you're working on the same frequencies, it's going to cause interference. Having too many hotspots or having too many neighbors with a Wi-Fi, it's all going to interfere because all those signals are going to overlap on each other and cause interference. Another thing could be another electronic device like a microwave oven, an electric motor, any other operating device that has some sort of emission of a signal could cause interference. Even your LED lights, fluorescent lights, they all are contributors to affecting the quality of the signal because the noise level is increasing, especially as you get close to these devices or if they're radiating a very strong signal. This will affect your quality and you'll get breakup or slow speeds related to that. So that's about it on interference. If you've tried these few tips, maybe you're struggling from Wi-Fi, poor Wi-Fi signal, or you're dropping calls, or you get slow speeds, or any of these things, and you've tried these tips and you're still not coming right, why don't you give us a call and we'll send one of our technicians around and we'll analyze the signal in the area. We'll have a look at where you've positioned things and make some recommendations on what you can do to improve the signal. It may mean moving your router to a new position, or it may mean putting in some access points which will distribute your Wi-Fi to a wider area. Whatever it may be, it might just be a quick fix, who knows. Give us a call and let's see what we can do for you.